about you, then you are nobody. Then you are nobody. Remember.
All is one reflections. I am Reverend Priestess Osun Funke. And today I am going to be doing hold on, y'all, let me get my background together. Okay. All is one reflections. I am Priestess Osun Funke, and tonight I'm going to be doing the October chapter of Get Your Life, which is essentially the doctrine for Orisa Hoodoo practice. Okay. And so, Get Your Life is a month by month guide to spiritual alignment. If you have not already purchased that book, you can do so, and the link is going to be in the comments or the description below. And you can also download an ebook version of the different chapters of the book that we have already done classes for. And you can go to our website, Orisa Hoodoo Publishing, to find access to those companion books. And so after I teach this class tonight, this too will be turned into a companion book. So essentially, you can get the entire doctrine, and then you'll have the opportunity to get individualized monthly books where that doctrine is expanded and detailed. Okay. So, without further ado, I'm going to just dive right in. There's a lot of material that I want to cover, and hopefully, this will be useful to you as we round out this year. So, it is already October. This year is almost over. There's like 90 days, less than 90 days left until the end of the year. October is a month where we need to take an opportunity to discover duality. We need to look at duality as it appears in every aspect of our lives, within ourselves, in the nature around us, in other people that we must interact with, and so on and so forth. So, the theme of October is embracing duality and finding harmony. October opens the doorway to deeper awareness through the presence of duality. Duality reveals the full range of divine experience and teaches that creation is built through pairs that coexist within harmony. So all of creation is built around duality. So you have light and you have dark. You have hot and you have cold. You have the spiritual world and you have the physical world. The duality of all of that is kind of the tension that holds this entire experience together. We are all very familiar with the sight of the yin and yang sigil, which illustrates duality perfectly. And what we need to understand about duality is that, for example, you cannot experience good health unless you've been under the weather. You cannot experience abundance unless you have perceived lack of some kind. In order for there to be kings, there must also be commoners. So duality rules every level of perception that we have in our human and physical experience. So the energy of the month of October supports the study of wholeness, the wholeness of all of it, understanding that hot and cold, hot and cold are measurements of temperature. They're not separate from one another. They are essentially the same thing. Light and dark are essentially the same thing. That's wholeness. And in that wholeness comes unity. And what we can hope for is coexistence and ultimately harmony through reflection and acceptance. Everything within creation expresses dual energy, the seen and the unseen. You know, this is an occult practice, this being ATR or Orisha Hoodoo specifically. These are occult practices. A lot of it exists within the shadows of your mind, shadows of expression, where I may say something, but not the complete story, because those who are initiated or who are privy to the mysteries understand the unspoken. There are active and receptive aspects to our practices as well. There's movement and stillness, and there is an inner and an outer, or as we are very used to hearing with regard to spirituality, as above, so below. Spiritual maturity requires recognition of both expressions as being sacred. So, again, we're talking about measurements of the same thing, not one versus the other, but one is the other. It's like we say, I am not my sister's keeper, but I am, in fact, my sister. So, when I'm looking at someone, for example, we're talking about interpersonal relationships, and I'm looking at a person, and I may be judging their behavior, for example, which we all do, right? I may be judging their behavior, but the only reason I am able to do that is because I recognize what it is that they are expressing. Why? Because I've experienced that too. And so there's not a separation between me and this other person who may be behaving in a way that feels very much unlike where I am or how I am in this moment, but rather that person may be expressing an underdeveloped aspect of a personality trait. So we only recognize things that we have experienced or things that we are, if you want to take it another step. And so you guys know that the greeting in Orisa Hoodoo is all is one reflection. We recognize that we are reflections of one another, but that all is one. All of this can be pared down into one, the all, the source of all things, and we are just individualized aspect of the source, enjoying what we have collectively created. Spiritual maturity requires recognition that all is sacred. So, in our desire to experience wealth, in our desire to experience health, in our desire to experience wisdom, we must recognize that aspects, lower vibrating aspects of those same things that we want to experience must necessarily exist. The only way you can experience abundance is to know what it's like when there is less abundant times. And so we must recognize and accept the complete experience in order to have, in order to really be blessed, I would say. So October invites you to observe how both gentleness and power, expansion and rest are necessary for alignment. This month marks a descent into introspection as nature prepares for quiet renewal. So we're going into a time of year where the plants will go to sleep, the grass will stop growing, the sunlight, the hours of perceivable sunlight will be less. Things are going to kind of go to sleep, preparing for the renewal that we experience in the spring. So this month, you are encouraged to allow both visibility and silence to be honored within your daily rhythm. No reason to fight against it, right? Take a rest. Let your days end earlier. Honor the need for darkness. Divine harmony emerges through acceptance of what already exists within and around you. So, not fighting what is naturally occurring, whether it be shorter days, whether it be fewer fruits available on the trees and vines, honoring the fact that the days are getting shorter, things are less abundant in this moment in preparation for the renewal that will happen in the spring. So, the affirmation for this month, and I'm going to read it a couple of times so that those of you who are taking notes have the opportunity to write it down. I honor the duality within me, embracing both light and shadow as essential parts of my wholeness. Again, I honor the duality within me, embracing both light and shadow as essential parts of my wholeness. This affirmation anchors the awareness that wholeness is comprised of all experiences and expressions. Light symbolizes clarity, wisdom, and divine presence. Shadow represents mystery, depth, and hidden wisdom. Repeating this affirmation daily brings the mind, body, and spirit into cooperation with divine law. This affirmation can be recited daily for recalibration whenever the mind attempts to divine or judge one aspect of being over another. You can also use this affirmation for journaling to think about what it actually means to experience wholeness and duality. The metaphysical law of this month, obviously, is the law of duality. The law of duality governs all manifested creation. Every principle exists within pairs that form a single whole. So, duality is a very important part of the practice of Ifa, for example. Ifa is, some would say, the first binary system created by human beings. So when a Babalawo or an Iyanifa does a reading in the system of Ifa, what is produced is a binary code, okay? And that binary code is connected to the sacred liturgy of Ifa that gives you the guidance that you need when you are seeking guidance by way of a consultation. Okay. So, duality is an inextricable part of spirituality, particularly African spirituality. The law of duality teaches that divine expression moves in two directions at once, creating depth and meaning, as well as evolution, joy and sorrow, expansion and contraction, clarity and mystery. All of this exists within divine order as evidence of completion. Through this law, consciousness expands beyond separation and it also returns in unity. So, as things expand, there must be a necessary contraction. Think about a heartbeat, right? Or your blood pressure. One number is the blood that, as it's flowing from the heart, versus, excuse me one moment, y'all. I apologize. All these dings and I will edit that out of the replay, but I'm sorry. They just are opening doors left and right and creating all those dings. Where was I? Through the law of duality, consciousness expands beyond separation and returns to unity. Acceptance of duality reveals freedom, peace, and greater access to divine understanding. The law of duality invites awareness that all expressions of energy serve purpose and intelligence. When this law is honored, the individual no longer resists change or judges existence, but moves fluidly within spiritual rhythm. So when you honor duality, you no longer fight against the poles, right? We're always happy when there's an abundance of things, when we have more money than we can count, when the refrigerator is full, when we have an abundance of stylish outfits to choose from, when we have several different suitors inviting us out on a Saturday night. We enjoy those times. But when the phone is dry and the clothes are out of style and we only have beans to cook, then we're sad. It's very difficult to be grateful in those times. But you cannot experience abundance without experiencing leaner times. It's just the reality. Now, there's never a lack of anything that we need, but your access is going to ebb and flow. And that's due to your need for expansion and evolution. So, when things dry up for you, when things tighten up for you, in those moments, you need to stop and think, what is the lesson here? What is it that I'm meant to experience or understand? What is it that I'm meant to understand so that I can overcome what it is that I'm experiencing? Whenever you experience a moment where you don't have what you want or you can't get where you're interested in going, it's time for you to take a look at what you're being asked to understand, what thought forms you may be asked to give up, where you need to go in your evolution. The law of duality invites awareness that all expressions of energy serve purpose and divine intelligence. When this law is honored, the individual will no longer resist change or judge experiences, but will move fully and fluidly within spiritual rhythm. Think Shango. Think moving with precision. Think not moving with emotion, not responding to perceptions of lack, not being mad at God or thinking that your ancestors have turned against you because you're not able to experience or manifest what you want to in this moment, but recognizing that there is a rhythm to everything and that the universe herself is precise. And so, whatever it is that you're experiencing in this moment, no matter how undesirable it is, you're experiencing that with the intention of propelling you forward towards your next best thing, your next best self. I want to give you a little bit of medicine. The first one is called hemispheric synchronization. And basically, it is two candle divination. Okay, so the medicine or the science behind the two candle divination is hemispheric synchronization. And this is when energy and brain waves have been studied and meditations are undertaken that involve 2 points of light or sound. Sometimes they are used to balance the eyes together. Sometimes they are used to balance the different hemispheres of the brain. But we use it to balance our awareness and understanding that all must exist in order for us to experience life in its fullness. So, how are you going to practice this hemispheric synchronization? What you're going to do is get two candles, your choice what color. And I would start using birthday cake candles. little bitty short candles. They're not going to take too long to burn, and you can work your way up as you become more adept with this practice. You're going to get 2 candles. You're going to put one on your left side and one on your right side equidistantly. You want to be able to see both of them when you are looking straight ahead, right? So you don't want to put one so far over to the left that you can't see it when you're looking straight ahead, but you want it to be in your peripheral vision, one over here and one over there. You want to light both candles as close to the same time as possible. And you want to sit still and breathe, not ever staring at one candle over the other, but looking straight ahead in a meditative state while watching both candles. Okay? Practice this every day this month and meditate on duality. You can even meditate or chant the affirmation for this month. And again, if you are interested in learning more about this practice and how it can improve psychic ability, overall feelings of well-being, it can also be used to address things like anxiety, okay? And it is called hemispheric synchronization practices. So you can look that up. Now, while you're performing this practice, you are going to do what we call circular breathing. Some even call it circular consciousness. So as you are sitting, watching the candles, not looking at either one, but perceiving them both or seeing them both out of either eye, you are going to inhale and exhale right one breath right after the other. Okay, so it's circular breathing. It is a conscious wave-like rhythm of inhale and exhale that increases your inner heat. So it's actually healing for your joints. It also increases your focus and overall vitality. It embodies the law of duality by joining release and reception into one sacred current, reminding the practitioner that giving and receiving are equal expressions of divine flow. Okay, do y'all understand that exercise? So you're going to light 2 candles. You're going to sit and breathe. You're going to chant, or at the very least, read the affirmation for this month, which is, I honor the duality within me, embracing both light and shadow as essential parts of my wholeness. And then you are going to engage in rolling breath, where you inhale and exhale in a wave-like rhythm. Okay? Do that for just a few moments every day this month. And I guarantee you, your awareness will change, your overall feelings of well-being will change, and you will receive downloads about duality and how to apply this understanding into your life. So let's talk about Bible verses that have to do with duality. The first one is Psalm 18, chapter 28. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create calamity. I, the Lord, do all these things. One more time, because this is a powerful verse connected to duality. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create calamity. I, the Lord, do all these things. This verse affirms divine authorship of all existence, every state of being, illumination, obscurity, stillness, movement, all of it originates from the source. It reveals that nothing operates outside of intelligence. All is mind. That's the law of mentalism. All experiences are expressions of God's creative rhythm. Light and darkness are equal. Light and darkness are equal expressions of wisdom, each one guiding consciousness toward wholeness. Peace and disturbance both carry purpose. They shape awareness and strengthen spiritual discernment. This passage invites practitioners to release fear of duality and to trust divine order at work in every condition. So basically, you have to accept when the lights go out, when it's dark, when we can't see what's happening next, when we're not quite sure, when things are lean and we don't know where the next blessing is coming from. We have to just believe that it's coming because it always does. And like the Bible has told us, joy comes in the morning, even though crying may endure through the night. Duality. If you cry, you will laugh. But if you laugh, you will likely cry at some point. We pray that those tears are few, but we know that they are part of the whole. It's part of it. So recognize divine authorship. Recognize that it restores confidence, surrender, and calm within the unfolding of life, no matter how unexpected, no matter how undesirable. There's a divine intelligence that's running in the background. You're encouraged to meditate on this verse as a reminder that divine presence governs both revelation and mystery. So, whether you understand a thing, you're still responsible for it. God is in the mysteries just as much as God exists in the light and the understanding. It's all divine. You can't be afraid of what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. So sometimes you just have to trust. So this scripture harmonizes with the law of duality by affirming that all aspects of existence serve sacred evolution and alignment with divine will. So the Orisa concept that aligns very well with this month is Ibeji, the sacred twins. They symbolize divine duality and eternal truth. They remind us that creation exists through relationship. So everything that we experience should be perceived with the understanding that that we experience is in relation to something, a mirror aspect of that thing that we are not experiencing in that moment. Again, light, dark, sweet, sour, okay? All of these things, the duality, the dual nature of life has to do with how everything is in relation to each other, and all is one. So you can ultimately break down every scenario, every experience into one. Like, for example, hate and love are essentially the same thing. They're measurements of the same thing. Cold and hot, measurements of heat, right? If you have a lot of heat, it's hot, it's blazing. If you don't have very much heat at all, it's cold. But they're all measurements of the same thing. You can even break that down into light, lack of light, or abundance of light. Light brings with it heat. An absence of light is darkness, and it's cold. All is one. In Yoruba understanding, no force exists alone. Every manifestation is partnered. Earth and sky, sun and moon, birth and death, spirit and matter. Ibeji embodies this sacred pairing that keeps the universe in balance. Now, understand that it's not always about opposites, meaning one is good and the other is bad. Both things, whatever you're measuring, just are. Okay. It's when we put judgment into our evaluation of existence that we run into problems, because what's good today may be insufficient tomorrow, but it doesn't change the nature of that which we are experiencing or measuring. There's a time for bitterness. Bitters are actually good for your digestive system, they're good for your liver, but we enjoy things that are sweet. So in Ifa, because balance is the goal, we say things like, may the truth always be sweet, no matter how bitter, right? The twins, Ibeji, reminds us that life does not unfold through isolation, but through continual exchange, energy meeting energy, spirit meeting matter, giving meeting receiving. There's a push and a pull. And again, it's not always about one being better than the other or more or less desirable than the other. Sometimes it just is. The twins express the principle of togetherness as strength. They teach that harmony is sustained through connection, cooperation, and shared purpose. Ibeji governs joy, vitality, and the spark that comes when two forces operate in divine agreement. In the human experience, this energy appears through friendships, through spiritual partnerships, family bonds, creative collaborations, and the internal dialogue between reason and intuition. Within the body, Ibeji can be seen as the dynamic balance between left and right hemispheres of the brain, which is why you would want to do that ritual that I just gave you, that exercise, because it allows the hemispheres of the brain to work together while we exercise and develop the awareness of them as separate aspects of our understanding or being. They collaborate. When we're vibrating high, the left and the right side of the brain are collaborating so that we can be logical while being creative, so that we can be our best self and express the God within in the highest vibrating format, so that iron can sharpen iron, so that we can be most useful to those that we come in contact with. Spiritually, Ibeji remind us practitioners that growth happens through reflection. Each twin mirrors the other, revealing truth, healing, and understanding. I said earlier, when we encounter people, especially when we encounter behaviors that are less than desirable in other people, we recognize those behaviors because we have behaved that way, or we have been close to those kinds of behaviors before. We only recognize what we perceive. So when you are seeing your reflection, you're seeing aspects of yourself. Sometimes we're in denial about the existence of those aspects. And sometimes we convince ourselves that those aspects are no longer relevant because we've grown so much, or we've learned so much, we've had so many initiations. Listen, it's cyclical. The world goes around, right? You never escape your past. We just spoke the other day. I taught on how we live interdimensionally. You never escape your past. You never grow beyond your former self to the point that you don't have to um, reckon with it. The whole is all inclusive. So when you are whole and you are healthy, you recognize those stages of your former self. You recognize the growth that has taken place. You guard against repeats of those cycles. So Ibeji reminds us that we are, that duality exists within us at one time. Okay. Honoring Ibeji in ritual and meditation strengthens your relationship with yourself. You honor both aspects of yourself. And I'm saying both because what are we measuring? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're measuring your femininity versus your masculinity. It doesn't matter whether you are measuring the light and love within you or the the hate and wrath that you might exude from one moment to the next, right? Ibeji reminds us that the whole encompasses the dual aspects of the individual. Okay? So let's talk about the moon in October. The moon is called the Hunter's Moon this month. It is the full moon that follows the harvest moon. It appears in October when the energy of the year begins to settle into the stillness and reflection of fall. Its name comes from the traditional communities who relied upon the light of this moon to continue gathering food, firewood, provisions, and also hunting game in preparation for the winter months. So, even as the days get shorter and it gets darker sooner, the work must continue into the dark. And so, it's called the hunter's moon in October because by moonlight, the hunt must continue. The illumination of the hunter's moon made it possible for people to move through the night with clarity, securing what was needed for the months ahead. Spiritually, this moon carries the vibration of readiness, preparation, and reflection. It invites awareness of what has been gathered and what remains unfinished. The hunter's moon marks a time to pause and assess personal harvest. It's a lunar reminder that wisdom, patience, and preparation create stability. Within our Orisha Hoodoo teaching, this moon symbolizes the sacred act of inventory. Practitioners should observe progress, acknowledge lessons, and clarify what must be completed before the close of the year. The hunter's moon calls attention to discernment, encouraging awareness of where energy, time, and attention are being spent. This moon invites gratitude for what has been cultivated through effort and faith. The moonlight of this period reveals both growth and areas that require adjustment. This helps practitioners to move into the final months of the year with grace and intention. So we're taking stock of all that we've done this year. We're measuring how much further we have to go, and we're determining what we need to do to finish the year with success. The Hunter's Moon is a teacher of reflection. It helps practitioners recognize that preparation is not a task that should be rooted in fear, but it's actually an act of faith that ensures spiritual and emotional endurance. This moon carries the wisdom of completion and the assurance that all things have their appointed season for gathering, reflection, and rest. Let's talk about the celestial events of October. So, in October, the sun is in Libra for part of the month. The sun's movement through Libra brings the vibration of harmony, beauty, and and relational healing. So the sun's movement through Libra brings the vibration of harmony, beauty, and relational healing. Libra's energy supports fairness, mutual respect, and peaceful resolution in every form of connection. So, the energy of Libra can actually help you as you deal with any healing that needs to take place around duality, because the energy of Libra is about balance. It's about understanding that the pendulum swings in both directions. The sun in Libra awakens a desire for alignment within relationships, encouraging listening, empathy, and cooperation. The season invites reflection on how energy is shared with others and whether partnerships feel balanced and nourishing. Beauty becomes a spiritual principle during this time. Clean spaces, art, and observance of nature all help restore our inner equilibrium. Practitioners are encouraged to strengthen communication, to clarify intentions, and to restore calm wherever discord may linger. Libra season teaches us that peace is an active practice. It is created through conscious choice, patience, and the willingness to understand the perspective of others. This is a favorable time to reconcile, to forgive, and to renew trust within family, friendship, and our communities. So during this month, there's a transition into Scorpio. Let's talk about it. As the sun moves into Scorpio around October 23rd, the energy deepens into regeneration and introspection. Scorpio governs the unseen layers of life, guiding the spirit inward for revelation and renewal. The season encourages examination of emotion, motives, and attachments that influence spiritual direction. It is a time to clear residue, to release emotional weight, and to make room for spiritual growth. Scorpio powers lies in transformation through honesty, through facing truths, and this leads to healing and empowerment. Practitioners should be guided to explore their inner world with courage and curiosity, seeing transparency as strength. So, you should be guided, my notes say, to explore your inner world. This means that as we move into that Scorpio energy, you should absolutely go within. But because we are focused on duality this month, we know that as we retreat inside, we're doing so with the purpose of becoming better for those that we interact with outside of ourselves, right? So you retreat to heal, to grow, to know, so that you can become a better version of yourself for those you are meant to exchange with. This phase supports spiritual rebirth. The more sincerely one examines their inner landscape, the more freely divine energy can move. Together, Libra and Scorpio mark a passage from outer harmony to inner depth, a movement from relationship with others to relationship with oneself. So, Pluto energy may be felt around this time, and this has to do with transformation through release. Pluto governs cycles of death and rebirth, teaching that surrender is a pathway to renewal. You should cleanse your spiritual and physical environments during this time to align with these different planetary currents. Okay. This is a season where we're going to be inside more. The weather is changing, it's getting colder, the sunlight, um, the hours of sunlight is shorter. We're going to be inside. So clean your house, clean out that refrigerator, clean out your closet. Okay. Because you're going to retreat, you're going to go inside. It should be nice when you do. This is a time for packing up boxes. And it also aligns with just ahead of spring cleaning. It also aligns with when we want to make those donations by the end of the year so we can claim that stuff on our taxes, right? So let's let's clean out some closets this season. Okay? The crystal for this month is obsidian, black obsidian. There are other colors. Did you know that? But black obsidian in particular. Black obsidian carries the energy of ancient memory and ancestral wisdom. Obsidian is basically volcanic glass. It is born of the meeting of fire and earth, two elements, again, duality, that hold the power of transformation and endurance. Its deep black surface symbolizes the ancestral realm, the unseen space where knowledge and protection reside. Obsidian acts as a mirror that reflects truth and reveals what has been inherited through lineage. So you can actually, if you're able to get a nice piece of obsidian, a palm sized piece, they call them worry stones, nice flat piece of obsidian, you can actually scry with that. And if you charm your obsidian or program it, whatever word you're comfortable with, program your obsidian effectively, you can actually have visions and downloads that are connected to your ancestry because obsidian has a lot of ancestral energy. If you use yoni stones, an obsidian yoni stone or yoni egg, I don't know why I'm calling it a yoni stone. A yoni egg made out of obsidian will actually offer some very deep ancestral healing that's connected with womb health, with cleansing and clearing and awareness connected to things having to do with all things yoni, whether it be childbirth, um, physical pathology, and any ailments that may be hereditary, even down to ancestral trauma, sexual abuse, and assault, and things like that. So, obsidian is a very good stone for use with working with the ancestors. So, this month is a great month to explore that. Okay. And the duality of living interdimensionally, the past and the present commingling. The vibrational aspects of obsidian protects sacred boundaries, allowing clarity and stability during spiritual communication. When used in meditation work or on the altar, obsidian creates a channel for listening to ancestral messages with discernment. So you can keep obsidian on your altar as a seat for the ancestors to keep that energy in your holy space. You can wear obsidian. You can carry it in your purse or your well, I don't know if you can carry it in your wallet. Maybe if you get a piece that's flat enough or a teeny tiny pebble, but wherever you want to infuse ancestral energy, you can do that with obsidian. Obsidian represents the eternal bond between past and present and even future generations, reminding practitioners that ancestry is an active source of power and protection. The herb for the month is mugwort. The herb for October is mugwort. Mugwort opens pathways of intuition and dream awareness. This herb bridges physical and spiritual dimensions, aligning conscious and subconscious insight. Mugwort's energy enhances divination, lucid dreaming, and spiritual discernment. You can burn dried mugwort as incense during meditation, or you can prepare a mild tea with it before bedtime for visionary dreams. It can also be added in moderation with to smoking blends. Okay. The herb cleanses energetic fields and harmonizes mental frequencies, teaching students. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all, my notes. The herb cleanses energetic fields and harmonizes mental frequencies. So, students, you want to use mugwort respectfully and sparingly. So, I mentioned that you can add it to smoke blends. This is if you are experienced making your own smoke blends and if you are experienced working with mugwort. I am not a doctor and I am not an herbalist. I have experience with herbs, and mugwort is an herb that I am very experienced with. I have made everything from sprays to sachets for dream sachets to put under the pillow to incense. Mugwort is very effective in enhancing your dreams and your understanding of your dreams. So get to know this herb. I wouldn't start off doing anything wacky with it. You can buy mugwort tea and you can start off with just a tea bag, you know? Drink a cup of the tea and see how you feel. And then from there, you can do other things with the herb. It is an herb. It is absolutely edible, but you want to be responsible and careful with it as you would be with any other herb. Okay. So that's the magical herb for this month. The medicinal herb for this month is calendula. Calendula is often called marigold. And actually, let me do a better introduction to this herb for the month. Okay. So, the medicinal herb for October is calendula. Calendula is often called marigold. It holds sacred significance in ancestral celebrations, particularly the Day of the Dead. In late October, early November, which is spiritually aligned with October's season of remembrance. Remember, we talked about the past and the present being connected, the duality of that. The vibrant colors, particularly the oranges and the golds, are believed to guide ancestral spirits back to the living world through their color, their fragrance, and their radiant energy. During ancestral festivities, calendula flowers are placed on altars, graves, and pathways that are used to light the way for loved ones who return in spirit form. Their gentle fragrance also serves as a call to the departed, inviting them to join in remembrance, gratitude, and celebration. Spiritually, this flower holds the frequency of honor and continuation, which is why it's often a gift to the ancestors, affirming that relationships with our ancestors remain active and reciprocal. In metaphysical practices, calendula may be used in teas, baths, or offerings that promote warmth, healing, and joy. Medicinally, calendula is very, very healing for the skin and can be used in cosmetic preparations like salves and even perfumes and shampoos. Okay. It's very soothing to the skin. So if you have skin issues, whether it be eczema or you even have an allergic reaction, calendula flowers are very healing to the skin. So you can experiment with those. I usually will incorporate the dried flowers into oil blends. They smell amazing, but they do have very, very predictable and enjoyable effects on the skin. So, the month of October is a month of inward preparation and spiritual maturity. The law of duality governs the path of transformation through acceptance of every aspect of life. We should embrace this period as a sacred time to integrate lessons, to simplify commitments, and to prepare the soul for the stillness of winter. And that, let me just make sure. And that is the class. So thank you so much for joining me tonight to discuss the spiritual and energetic aspects of the month of October. I am Reverend Priestess Osun Funke, and this has been the month of October from my book, Get Your Life. Okay, everybody. If you have questions, I will be more than happy to answer them. I did cut a little bit of the class. I didn't want it to be like a 3 hour class, but I think I got everything in that I wanted to cover. Of course, you should have the Get Your Life Doctrine, the full book. And this class was meant to expand on concepts that were introduced in the book, and also to give you some additional things to think about because I did add some things that were not in the book. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I couldn't read all of the comments while I was teaching, but I saw. Let me go back and read because somebody said something about mugwort and their grandma, and I was like, "Ooh, I want to know what that says." But y'all know if I get off track. Okay, Brittany said, after my grandmother passed away, I slept with it under my pillow. Definitely amplified my visions of her. Wow, that's awesome. I love me some mugwort. It really clarifies my dreams and meditations. So that's good. I'm glad y'all have experience with mugwort. I like it too. I have made dream sprays with it. So I will include it with other herbs, essentially making like a tincture. And then I will add some essential oils to that after the tincture is matured and strained. I'll add a little bit of certain essential oils, and then I will create a spray that can be sprayed on the pillow before bed. It can be sprayed around the room before meditation. Um, it can even be sprayed before divination or when you need to be more open spiritually. So I do like mugwort. Let's see if there's any other comments. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. How are y'all liking these breakdowns of the months? I think this is my third class because I did not start at the top of the year, but I'm going to complete the cycle. Bulma says, praying for my Ibeji twins every day. And I join you in prayer. Do you really want twins? Let's see. Did anybody else? Okay, Jordan says, yes, they are so good. It is one thing to read through, but having this as a supplement is super helpful. I'm glad that you are enjoying it. And I felt like it would be helpful. I wanted to break down some of the concepts and talk about how there are real life applications to them, like obsidian. You know, when I talked about the yoni eggs that you can use, I have actually used an obsidian yoni egg, and it was crazy. I had some dreams and what I know now to be like past life regressions, and I was not ex- expecting that. So, you know, that's something that I probably would not have put in the book, but I'm putting it out here right now. You know, that's another application for obsidian. Okay. Well, I absolutely appreciate you being with me today. I'm getting better and better, y'all. We have been on live for 1 hour and 6 minutes. I'm impressed with myself because there was a time when you couldn't get me off live in under 2 hours. And I would be trying so hard, but I did it today and I've been doing it. I've been a lot better with time. So Bulma says, good job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Um, y'all know I love y'all deep. Thank you so much for being here with me. You are the best part of this whole experience. Um, it's it's an honor and a blessing to be able to share my thoughts and the downloads that I receive and the things that I've studied. So, thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that. If you have any questions, most of you know how to reach me. You can send me a direct message in our app. If you are not in our community, the link will be in the description for this video. So just give us a day or so to get that in there. Or you can go to join.learnorishahoodoo.com, and that's scrolling down at the bottom, and you can join our community. These classes are available within our community, many of them for free, others of them almost free. In addition to these classes, um, we have about 20 different chat rooms with spiritual conversations happening, um, access to mentorship programs, free monthly rituals, and so much more. So please join our community if you'd like to continue to experience this kind of teaching. And do please check out our other books from Orisha Hoodoo Publishing. And the website is orishahoodoopublishing.com. Okay. I thank you and I love y'all deep. Peace.
Nobody talks about you, then you are nobody.